Hi, so it's 12:30, so I guess it's good afternoon already to everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Maria and Ross and also Josh for inviting IMAP to be part of this event today. And I guess when I was invited, I really didn't know what to talk about for this topic because I'm not really a social media expert, but mostly a representative of the Internet Mobile Marketing Association. So I prepared four slides, just four slides, and maybe to change up the context, I'd like to talk about who is the consumer. So I'm putting in the other side. The first set of panelists was more on the media side, the ones that provides the content, and the ones that tries to develop the community. So maybe in my context is as an industry, how do we see the Filipino digital consumer? So for the first slide. Okay, so I guess they're preparing the slides. Well, yeah, well, maybe for an ad lib. Uh, it's quite interesting that majority of the speakers were talking about less on the technology but more on the people. And with the recently concluded interactive summit or the IMAP summit, it was for us it was really successful because we focused mostly on the people. That's why our theme was hit the heart of digital. And I think that kind of concept connected with our audience. And hopefully, a lot of people now getting into the digital would see it that way as well. It's more of the people, really, more than the technology. So, but I'm running out of things to say for my ad.
Just a little more about IMAP, for example.
Okay. IMAP basically has been is the digital organization recognized under ad board, and we were formed I think 2006, but we basically started well conceptualizing it 2006. It was basically a set of 15 people, Nick's being part of it, Mike Palacios. Donald was our first president. Hans Eric Chua was also part of the founding members. And we've been organized and been operating since for 7 years now. And the usual activities that you could see is our interactive summit. We have our Boomerang Awards. And we also have our learning program through our CDMP. But this year, we're hoping to put more on activities. And before the end of the year, we're actually organizing our first digital expo. So for those people are looking for suppliers and people are within the industry. So we're holding that by November. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess here my slide's up now. If you can just go to the first slide. So I'd just like to start with the Philippine overview. And if you look at it, this is quite interesting. Um, we're over 100 million in population already. And what strikes about this picture is our average age as Filipinos actually around 23 years old. And I made a comparison between the global age average of global citizens. It's actually 28 to 29 years old. And if you look at the more mature markets, like actually the oldest country is Monaco with an average age of 44 years old. And you have countries like Germany, UK, who are basically on the 40-year-old level. And why is that important? I was asking, oh, I have 5 minutes left, but I just started. Okay. Why is this important? I just want to make a clear distinction between, I'd borrow this term from Donald. I was listening to one of his talks before. There are actually two types of digital citizens, right? The digital natives and basically the digital migrants. I belong in the digital migrant segment. But if you look at our average age, these actually fit that the general public is already the digital natives. And what's interesting is it's gender agnostic. 50% of the Filipinos are male and female, so it's very agnostic. Now, could you click to the next? Now, going now to this is not the latest data, but it's more like a trending that I just want to see the snapshot right now and how do we move forward. We basically are one third of the Filipinos right now has connectivity and online access. But what's interesting is if you look at 90% of the online users are actually below 44 years old. And you have a growing segment, 40% of the online users right now belong to the 15 and 24 years old, right? So this is quite important for you to move when we move forward and embrace social media. You have to look at the age of our audience, right? So can you click to the next one? And I inserted this about the mobile industry for two things. Well, I've been involved in the mobile industry since 1994, so I've seen it evolve. But the normal stamp that people know about the Philippines is we're the SMS capital of the world. But actually, like I believe I'll borrow it from Tonyo. I think right now we're the social media capital of the world. The interesting thing there is whether it's SMS, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, it's just people want to communicate. And the interesting about this is mobile is the one that's going to drive connectivity and growth. If you look at some of the statistics there, Philippines actually has the highest growth in terms of smartphone penetration. In the last quarter, there's been a 324% increase in smartphone sales in the Philippines. And the estimate coming from GFK is that actually is giving a 24% smartphone market share in the Philippines. Wow, that's big. So it's basically if we have 95 million, then you have more than 20 million who have access to smartphones right now. Okay. Could you click to the next one? So compounded with what I mentioned earlier, that we are basically social networking capital of the world. I don't want to bore you with having to read through this, but we love videos, we love blogging, we love uploading pictures. So it's fueling actually our social interaction. And the good thing about this is borrowing what Carlo mentioned earlier, the social networking sites actually enable Filipinos to creatively share more of their experiences. Okay. And could you click to the next one? And so, how do you define the digital Filipino consumer? We have a young working generation, average 23 years old, probably working already, has an increasing disposable income. And if you look at what's happening right now in terms of our economy, it's been progressing well, and this will only fuel basically how engaged or how interactive Filipinos would be, not only locally but globally. And there's a high mobile device usage, and it's already very adaptive to multi-screen environment. So we know this. People watch TV while using their tablet, while texting on the phone. So that's a given already. So it's a very busy environment. And like what I mentioned earlier, again, there's a growing digital native segment. And we've seen a lot of schools right now shifting to iPad education. So that's starting now. It's not like it's a promise. It's starting now, and this will only get magnified in the next 5 years. Okay, next slide, please. So when Josh asked me to present, I thought of trying to figure out what I'm going to say. Although the discussion revolves around social media, but for me, I think when we talk about social media, we talk about communities. So I try to figure out what is the evolution also when it comes to community. So I borrow the definition of Oxford about how communities are traditionally defined. So if you could click the next one. So community by default has always been defined in terms of geographical presence. So there's a limitation in terms of a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. However, now when we describe virtual communities, it actually expanded the definition. So it's an aggregation of individuals or business partners who interact around a shared interest, not necessarily common characteristics, but now it's expanded to shared interest and is aided or mediated by technology, right? So if you could just click through next one. So just go through it because I have like 2 minutes left. I try to look at certain attributes that fuels social media and the formation of virtual communities. One is, of course, what's the purpose of the group? So it could be as simple as we have common interests on games, or like what was discussed earlier, citizen journalism, and so on and so forth. So it gives you an element of how engaged you could be within your community. But the important thing here is no one person is exclusive to one community. We live now in an era wherein you are part of multiple community environment. So one aspect of you getting engaged in one community could spread to another community, right? Second is the design of the platform. Again, this is I think where Carla was mentioning earlier. The platform could be mobile, which is SMS. It could be a blog. It could be a forum. It could be a social networking site. So, but what's important there is the degree of synchronicity and interactivity that a normal person can have. And I guess this is the power of Facebook because it opens up real-time communication, exchange of videos, exchange of photos, and discussions. The population here is the pattern of interaction. Is it very loose, or is it exclusive to membership, or is it similar to what Ross mentioned earlier? It's a combination between a real life interaction and a virtual interaction. So you have to look at that context as well. And in terms of the place, again, do you ask them to go to a specific site, or you yourself utilize social media to be present where they are? And thirdly, in terms of looking at the attributes of a virtual community, how to engage them is, what's the profit model? Is this an advertising based, or is this, for example, you create a marketplace, utilize what do you call this, sites like Multiply to do commerce, or it could be basically creating a private network for a specific purpose. So, for example, retailers association, you can always create your own virtual community to capitalize on this. So, for my last slide, could you click on it? Um, I guess there's three things that I'd like to close with my presentation. Um, Three things that would probably harness and fuel community building and leveraging the power of social media. One is, for a virtual community to be successful, yes, it has to be organized. There's much technical and social planning into the project. You can create your own simple community, but at the end of the day, if you want to take this further, there's really a management aspect to this. And I think if you look at the evolution of us having to interact socially, we've moved already from a point of anonymity to an open identity. I remember before, when you play online games, you have your avatar. But now through Facebook, you're actually pouring out your identity already. And I think that's part of the maturity of how consumers are embracing the connectedness on an open social environment. And the cyberspace systems would develop and expand, and fundamentally altering our definition of physical space, of identity and community. We're just in the start. I mean, if you look at the evolution of technology, one thing that's mind-boggling is, for example, Skype. Where will Skype come in the next 5 years? That's real face-to-face interaction already. without having to be physically beside each other. So, as an ending statement, I just wanted to borrow this quotation from Howard Reingold in his book, The Virtual Community. Real world communities will ultimately benefit from the spread of virtual communities. Community members are judged by their intellect and skills, with little to no help on the emphasis of place, gender, or even economic, what do you call this, conditions. Ultimately, such ideas will permeate society as virtual communities become more of a commonplace. So this is the only medium wherein you could be in the class D segment communicating directly with the top of the socioeconomic class. And it totally changes the perspective of how we see people now. So again, I guess where I'm coming from, I just like to close on that because we're just starting with this new form of engagement in social media. So thank you.